Yeah, yeah. Look at every room, right? It's like who's going to be at the cafeteria table to meet, with me today at recess or at lunch.
Doesn't it get sickening with all the same people over and over?
It does. So I've been talking with other people on other mediums like Telegram, ICQ, things like that.
Gotcha, man. Is it going good or like?
Yeah, it's going pretty good. It's a lot more relaxed actually.
I'm on Instagram. I see a lot of crap on there too. So it comes with the territory, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, but I'm answering your question earlier. Like, where the hell have I been? Well, I'm telling you.
Oh yeah, man. I
I've
appreciate
I've
that.
also
Yeah.
I've also I've also I've also been working on like uh, a new blog and a different YouTube channel. Yeah.
Or you will blog, eh?
Yes, I'm a little bit of a blogger. I actually plan to write a book on Old Testament law. I've committed myself to that.
Oh man, that's gonna be awesome. That is
And
something I definitely think
I
you
don't
should
know how
pursue.
long it I don't know how long it's gonna take, but you have to understand, right, that I came out of a theonomist reformed background. Once I understood that these laws weren't legislative, it was just like, oh, floodgates open. So then, what the hell are these?
Yeah.
And it's been an investigation, um, a very fruitful one in some ways, a very unfruitful, you know what I mean, a very unfruitful one in other ways.
Cool, man. Yeah, I hope you come back. I hope you come around here more often. We would like to have. I like how you argue against people. I like it's a good strategy.
Look, there's no strategy. I'm just being myself.
Yeah. Well,
I
look up
I really
Astrologica, man.
I I really don't want to argue with people at all. I want to talk about things. I want to iron out details, right? I don't look at this as like a win loss situation.
Situation.
Sit, yeah, situation. I should, add a little slur in there. Situation.
Sorry, I got a phone call and kicked myself out by accident. But no, I have an appointment, so I've got to go anyway.
Righto.
Yeah, cheers, praise, Paul, Olive, Sparrow, and I'm on my phone, so I can't see the last one. Oh, one way. Yeah, I exactly get that. Cheers, everyone. I'll see you later.
Take
All right,
care.
Pip, see you
Cheers,
later, mate.
Cheers.
Cheers, bye.
Cheers.
Well, I don't know if I can say. Hey, let's try this. Inshallah, salam alaikum.
So long. There, that's
Totally
say-
pisses off people when I say
It
that. Yeah, I'm learning a little.
do you say that to him? Monroe?
No, I
So
do
long.
that to mess with people.
Yeah, they get
But
the
but look,
Muslims don't
but
like
but look. I mean, it's just like the way that I communicate with people. I say like controversial things,
right.
but and I do it to get them to think, right? And then And then they're gonna ask me a bunch of questions, and I'm like, yeah, I already got that planned out, you know.
Yeah, because that opens the door.
We say
Right,
olive
right.
or salama lama meatballs. That's how
Yeah.
we say it.
There you go. A la snack bar.
Ala snackabar.
It'll be fascinating if Yuri comes back or not.
He better
He
No,
repent.
urinated on
he's
himself.
He needs to repent.
yeah.
And be
He's
honest.
not gonna come back.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think he wants to keep his heresy.
No, he got destroyed on his own argument.
No, he also
Not just
got
by
caught.
me, but by praising.
And he also
It's
got
really
caught.
bad when
He got
Yeah.
busted.
He got
Something.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
People think we can't find these things out.
He's into this
Eventually, we will.
mysticism. He's like a mystic almost.
Mhm.
Yeah, and he also he's been coming in under a troll name and saying things.
Voila.
It's okay. It God always reveals.
Yes,
And
he
he
did.
did tonight.
You know, I want to ask a question about Gavin in one way. I mean, I don't want to, I actually hope the best for Gavin, but has he been on like this, have you seen him on those things, those platforms, or what's he up to?
Yeah, he seems to just like be engaging in more and more debates on, especially on Clubhouse. I'm
And
not
is he
really
doing
sure
good,
what
or?
to make of that. Like,
Well, he probably goes.
well, the
after
thing about
builds
it
up
is
his
like the
love.
motive I think is correct, but I'm not sure if it's a positive. I don't know if it's like benefiting the kingdom, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
There
I
you
know what you
go.
mean. Yep.
Like I can admire the zeal, but I'm not sure if it's like helpful.
Shut your mouth.
Shut up, woman.
Shut up, woman.
Praise, I was wondering why it says on your avatar thing, atheists are slaves to sin. Can you explain that one to me?
Sure. That those who have not been regenerated by the gospel they are in a depravity of rejecting God. That rejection itself is being slave to sin, because Jesus is the liberator of all sin. So that if you're not liberated from sin, then you're a slave to sin.
Yeah, that didn't really explain a lot to me, to be fair. So
Right.
So I'm a
it's a
slave to
worldview
sin.
difference. Yeah.
I'm a slave to sin just because I don't believe in a God or Jesus.
Yes, exactly. We're not, I mean,
So,
it doesn't
but
mean
the only
like
the only sin that you're quoting is the fact that I don't believe.
right. That's
But why
a
am I a slave
huge
to that?
sin.
Yeah, but why am I a slave to that?
It's because you're not liberated from it. So the only way to be liberated from it is to believe on Jesus Christ. And until you are liberated, then you're a slave to it, meaning that you're under all the curses, you're under all the punishments, the penalties of sin. That doesn't mean you guys do it all the time. It just means that you're a slave to it. That's all.
Yeah, they didn't really explain very well to it, apart from not believing I'm a slave to it. Yeah. Because I don't know what I do that's particularly when we're talking about sin, if you're talking about doing things that are right or wrong, I don't really know what I do that's particularly wrong.
Well, that's what I said. Like, just, I mean, we're not saying you do sin all the time. That's not what being a slave of sin just means you're liberated from it through Jesus Christ. Even if you break one, it's just what the Bible says anyway. You don't have to agree with it, but if you break even one law, God looks at you as if you've broken them all, or guilty as or you're just as guilty as someone who broke them all. So God doesn't look at sin the way that you or other humans do. he's on a higher he's a higher level being, a higher moral being than humans. So it's we're not saying that you sin all the time. That's not what slave of sin means. It's just even if you sin once, you're a slave of sin. It means that you're going to be under
But
its
that
penalties.
also applies to you as well, though, doesn't it? The only difference
Absolutely.
is you think you're forgiven. So you're also a
Right.
slave to sin, apart from you get forgiven for your sins.
No, I'm liberated from sin, but I sin all the time. I admit I'm a sinner, and that's why I need to be liberated from
Yes,
sin.
so that's what I'm saying is there's no difference between the two of us, apart from you've got a get out clause and you're saying I don't.
Well, no, I have mercy and forgiveness, and you don't, because
And
you
the
don't
Holy
want
Spirit.
Yeah.
it. Right. The Holy Spirit.
Well, wait a minute. I actually said it correctly. Praise as a liberator, but you don't. That's the difference.
Yeah, I just don't believe in your liberator. That's all.
Yeah. Well, at least you know
Right.
now our
And
position, though.
we don't believe in your liberation, right? We think that there's no liberation on your view.
I don't know what liberation
You literally said, right? Praise has a liberator, but I do not. A universal negation, right? In English language, you have no liberator, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I don't think there is a liberator, no, for anybody.
See, so there's the difference. Real simple.
So it's just about belief, then. Really, that's all it is.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not saying that you're more or less moral than us, and you're just some criminal out there just doing all bad things. That's not what it means to be liberated from sin or be a slave to sin. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, the only difference is you think that you've got somebody that's going to forgive your sins, and you believe that nobody's going to forgive any of the sins that I've supposedly done. That's
right. You have no liberation from it. You're going to be held accountable to it, and then it'll be held against you because you had the mediator, liberator there, ready to help you out and be on your side and be a relationship with him forever.
If that was true, the only thing I'd really be guilty of is not believing, because I would have lived a similar life to everybody else, even those that believe they would have committed probably the same amount of sins. I'd be no worse or better than anybody else. The only difference is you believed in a liberator and I didn't. So my only sin, the only real sin that I would have would be not believing. That's it. Because all the other sins can be forgiven apart from that one, which is not to believe in a God.
Well, yeah, I mean, have you ever told a lie? Have you ever looked at a woman with lust? Have you stolen something in your life? Like, I'm sure you've broken all those laws. So it would be more than just not believing. But not believing is like you're not accepting the free gift from the Son of God.
It'd still be not the believing, because like you've just said, you will have done all them things as well. But the only difference between me and you is that you think that you've got a liberator. That's the only difference between it. So the only sin that I'm really committing in your worldview is that I disbelieve in a God, because I can still do and still would have done all those other things. But the only difference is you believe that you've got some sort of liberator because you believe, and only because you believe.
Well, I disagree with that characterization that sin doesn't put you in hell. Even your sin of rejection can be forgiven if you come back if you repent someday and believe on him, then that sin of unbelief will be forgiven. So it's not sin that puts you into hell, Paul.
Yeah, I think people are mischaracterizing this. We aren't saying that you aren't saved because of your cognitive faculties towards a proposition, which is my attenuated definition of a belief, right? We're saying that it's because of your sin. We aren't saying it's because of your belief status. Like you're judged, you're not judged based on your cognitive faculties and your belief orientation towards the proposition. We're saying, right, that you're damned because of your not your disbelief, but based on your sin.
Yeah, but me and you could be both stood there at the same time, for argument's sake, and you may have done worse things than I have done. but yet you would be forgiven for yours.
Right,
because
but we
you
have a
believe.
liberator.
And yeah,
Right,
and I wouldn't be
exactly.
forgiven. So it's got nothing to do with the sin that you've done, because all sins can be
No,
forgiven.
no, it
apart from
has
not
everything to do with the sin. No, it has everything to do with sin. Okay,
Well,
on
say
our
for
view,
argument- say for argument's sake,
you're going to be judged based. You're going to be judged based on your sin, not your cognitive faculties of believing or not believing in God. In
Yeah, but
James chapter 2, right? Even the demons believe, right? Think about this, okay? What we're saying is that you're judged based on your sin, not your belief. Now, you're making the argument that a part of that is that sin could be included into unbelief. Yeah, but unbelief, right? If you really wanted to really make this argument stronger, it could be something like me falling asleep, where my beliefs become quiescent, right? That is that they come into a state of being non-evocative, quiescent, right? Where they are dormant. So then every time I go to sleep and I have a wet dream, I can't be judged for that because I have a lack of belief. I don't know if you thought about this all the way through, right?
Well, no, you
This
still
is
haven't
what-
changed my mind at all on it, because what you're saying is that.
Okay.
So let's take me and you for example. Just using you as an example.
Well,
You might have
first
committed-
off, before you talk to me, deal to non-doxasticism. Do you think that you choose your beliefs at all?
No.
Okay, great. So then that's not a problem. So then what's the next point?
My point was going to be that take two people, for example, me and
You said I didn't change your mind, but you hold to doxastic involuntarism, right? Where you can't choose your beliefs.
Yeah, that's correct.
So why is that a problem? So why is that a problem?
I didn't say it was.
I didn't convince you. Well, no, you did. It's an entailment of what you said. You said you didn't convince me. Well, okay, if you hold to the view that you can't choose your beliefs, then what do you mean by convince here?
Change my mind. Present evidence that would make me change my mind.
Yeah, but you can't change your mind. You don't choose your beliefs.
No, but
right?
being presented with a certain evidence can make you change your mind and think, "Oh, I was wrong on that. The evidence is overwhelming for this particular proposition."
Yeah. What do you mean by over? Like your belief? Does your belief glow at some point?
No. What's that got to do with it?
Yeah.
We all know what beliefs are. They're what you think in your brain.
No, we don't all know what belief means, right?
Well,
are you aware that when I go to sleep, I have non-doxastic beliefs? Right? When I go to sleep, I don't become an agnostic just because my belief is non-evocative. It becomes quiescent, like when my computer goes into sleep mode. Right? It doesn't lose its beliefs, but we have a negative status of beliefs. When you say, right, you didn't convince me, what you're saying is you didn't change my doxastic attitude, but you don't believe that I can do that in any way.
Oh,
right?
You could do. You could change my mind if you presented.
No, okay. So then, is it doxastic involuntarism or is it doxastic voluntarism? What is your view now? Now you're flip flopping.
When you
I could change your mind. I could change your mind, or I couldn't change your mind. I could convince you, or I couldn't convince you.
I don't understand what you're trying to say. I really don't understand what you're trying to say.
What does doxastic mean? Is that how you say it?
I'll explain. Yeah, I'll explain. Doxastic involuntarism is the. By the way, I hold the same view as you. By the way, right? But I'm more consistent with it. What you say is, well, I didn't find that convincing. Okay, that's fine, but there's nothing to be convinced about, right?
Well, there is.
No, there isn't
We're having a
anything to be
discussion on
convinced
it,
about.
any subject.
Your
and,
your
I've got
mental
one.
your mental attitudes, right? On your view, you there. Look, you can't change your mind on that view.
I can.
Yeah, that's literally the definition, especially using convincing.
I've been changed. I've had my mind changed on many things.
You're acting like I could
me
actually say something that
I
would
don't think
change
you're
your
listening
mind.
to what I'm saying.
No, I don't think you've embraced your non-doxastic involuntarism fully, like I have.
Yeah, again,
It's
I
the
don't quite
view.
understand what
It's the view that you
there.
can't choose what you believe. That's the view. That's the view he holds to. But then he wants to say, well, you didn't convince me. Well, look, there is no convincing on your view. Everything's completely determined, right?
No, it's not.
You're basically a fatalist at this point.
Wow, that's good. That's really good.
No, I mean,
See?
to be honest, I don't understand half of what
Yeah.
what's
So do you-
come out of you.
Oh.
And you're not. And as soon as I say
Okay.
something, you just talk over me, and I just don't get
Look,
to finish
look,
me.
look,
and then doing it again. There's no way
look,
we'll
go ahead and go forward.
with you. Because the simple fact is, as soon as I say
Wait.
something, you just talk over me. You're not listening to a single word I've said. To be honest, it's a complete waste of time, this conversation. Because as soon as I say something, you just interrupt me.
Yeah, it is on non-doxastic voluntarism, right? It says you can't choose to be convinced, right?
Well, of course you can't choose to be convinced of something.
There you go.
No, hang on a minute. It depends on how you play the words. I do choose to be convinced. I am open to being convinced when somebody presents enough evidence.
No, you're not open to be convinced.
And you're talking over me again, so I'll just let you carry on.
No, what you're saying is that you're convinced by the reasons.
Finish, mate. I can't have a conversation with you. It's impossible.
Yeah. No, well, it is impossible given your fatalism, your non-doxastic voluntarism that you admitted to, and your fatalism. But you're asking us to convince you of things that you can't even choose, right? So it's kind of like hit the road, Jack, right?
Don't you come back no more.
I find it a waste of time trying to engage in a conversation with you because about 5 or 6 times I've tried to say something, and every time I've got literally about 3 or 4 words out, and then you've just talked over me. I've tried to carry on talking, and you've just carried on talking over me.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
No, I'm not going to repeat over the last 5 or 6 things I've tried to say. So no, I'm done.
I want to hear it.
I want to hear it too. Come on, Paul.
I cannot remember all the points I was trying to make because literally the last 5 times I've tried to speak, he spoke over me. Then he's mentioned something else. I've tried to answer that one, and then he's talked over that, and I didn't get to the end of that one. And he's done it. There's about 5 things I tried to say, and I never finished one of them, and he never heard a word I said. And I cannot remember that all the 4 or 5 points I was trying to make at the time.
Then, like how the saying goes, well, then it must not have been important. There you go.
No, I don't find it that important to try again for the umpteenth time. No, I don't find it that important.
Or it'd be like a boomerang. It'll swing back around and it'll hit you. And you'd be like, I remember.
No, because I can't remember what the points were. The points we were talking about. It just got a bit silly, so I give up.
Look, I'll give it to you. I'll summarize it without all the fancy philosophical jargon, right? You complained that this wasn't convincing. And I said, do you choose your beliefs? You said, no. Okay, so then there's no aspect of being convinced, right? Convincing means persuasion, right? The common usage of the word. But when you say that you weren't convinced, you were implying that you chose your beliefs. And then I asked you, do you hold to non-doxastic involuntarism? And you said, yes, I do. Where you don't choose your beliefs, well, then there's no convincing to be done, right? It's an A and not A scenario. You're asking us a question right, to convince you when you yourself don't believe that you can be convinced. It's an A or not A scenario. It's literally worthless to respond to.
Yeah, but my position is I do think I can be convinced of or to change my mind because it's happened in the past. I've had different beliefs in the past on different whatever the scenarios out, and I thought, well, this is true, and then the evidence has come to me and been presented, and going, no, the reason you're wrong, Paul, is because this, and this evidence proves that this is actual correct, and then I go, oh yeah, that's convincing. That wasn't me choosing to change my mind. That was the evidence that was presented for me. Gave me no option
Right.
but to change my mind.
Right.
So my mind can be
Right.
changed.
No, I get you. That's where I was going to go next, right? Because I also agree with you. I also hold to doxastic involuntarism. But so then it's actually not about the cognitive faculties and your intensity of your belief or disbelief. It's about the evidence, right?
I would say that everybody's beliefs should be based on some form of evidence. You shouldn't just believe something without having the evidence for believing it. We've all got evidence for our beliefs. Well, what we class as evidence for our belief. Right.
So what I was going to point out, right, is that on the view that we share, I agree with you. We can't choose our beliefs. However, right, there's a distinction between the doxastic attitude towards the evidence there and the objective evidence, right, or the reason for whatever the proposition is. And it's not that the proposition persuades or convinces us on doxastic involuntarism. It's that it's inescapable, right? It's objectively the case.
Yes. Yeah, I'll agree with that. So that changes your mind because the evidence that's been presented is too great to be able to deny it. Yeah. But what I'm saying is I can still change my mind on any. I'm still saying that whatever beliefs I had, whether it's belief in a God, belief in anything, of course my mind can be changed if there's enough evidence to persuade me.
Watch this. Do you not? Yeah. So let me give you an example. Do you know how to use a logic truth table?
No, I can't say I have ever seen or used one or what one is.
Okay. So if we use a logic truth table, I can give you an argument for the existence of God that will pass the logic smell test, if you will, objectively.
Okay.
And it's real simple. Nothing exists or God exists. Right? That's premise one. Premise two is something exists.
Yeah, but I disagree
conclusion,
with that.
Conclusion, ergo God exists.
No, because I disagree with your first premise.
How are you going to disagree with the first premise?
Because you haven't proved. Right, so your first premise was, what was it? Everything exists. Give me the first premise.
No.
Give me the first premise.
Something exists. That was disjunct A in prem. I'm using modus tollendo, by the way, here.
Yeah, I'm just wanting your first premise.
Yeah, first premise, something exists or God exists.
Right, so I agree with the first part of that. Something exists, right? Because obviously I can observe things, I can feel things, I can smell things, I can touch things. So yeah, so the first one is something exists. So I agree with that. Next part of the premise.
Yeah, disjunct B or God exists.
No, I want the first. I'm saying I'm disagreeing with your first part of the premise. Which your first part of the premise is something exists.
Wait, hold on. No, I have to go back. It's nothing exists or God exists. My bad. You're right.
So the first premise is nothing exists
or God exists.
But that's not the case. Something does exist. We know that.
Right, that's premise 2. Something exists. You agree with premise 2.
I agree that something exists, but I don't agree with your conclusion that
That's right.
nothing exists. Well, I still can't get my head around the first premise. So I disagree with your first premise.
All right. Do you disagree with the truth table rendering this as a valid and sound argument?
No, because you can't put a God into it. You can put something or nothing into
Why
it.
not?
We know what something is. We know what nothing is. Well, we have a fairly concept
Well,
of what nothing would be.
actually,
But we know what something is.
Actually,
And I still can't talk. Unbelievable.
One way, would you define God in that?
no. Okay, okay. But let me put it to you this way. Look, let's put it this way. It's saying that disjunct A or disjunct B, not just disjunct A, right? Ergo disjunct B. This is modus tollens. Like if I said there are either Democrats or Republicans.
Yeah, but we know Democrats and Republicans. This is the problem with the first
in
premise.
this meeting.
Input in a God, but you need to
there aren't any. Right?
I can't be done. You can't have a conversation with you.
Go ahead.
Cannot have a conversation with you. No, I know this is like the 7th time now. I'm done. I'm not interested in what you have to say.
I would still like you to tell me what you meant by God, and that how God and existence seem to be the equivalent there.
No, they wouldn't be equivalent, right? That's the whole point. If you're asking for a non-question begging, right, non-circular argument, this is what you get, right? So something look, just replace God with nothing, right? Let's say nothing exists or something exists. Premise 2, something exists, ergo nothing doesn't exist, right? This would be the contrapositive of the situation. No.
Right. So how does adding God in place of nothing work out?
I'm about to explain that to you, right? So when you look at the first premise, nothing exists or God exists. We're just saying in a non-circular way the other end of nothing, that there is something, right? And then premise 2 is saying that something exists, right? That's the way the modus tollendo works. A or B, not A, therefore B.
You're saying nothing exists or God exists, right? So we know that nothing doesn't exist because we know that something exists. So, but you've inserted a God there with there's no logical reason why you would put a God in there. You could put anything in there. You could say nothing exists or chickens exist.
Yeah, we could do that. We could do that. We could also do that with Democrats.
It's a really poor argument. It really is.
Oh, okay. Okay. Let's see how poor this argument is. Hear me out. Right? Hear me out. Let's see how poor this argument is, because I actually think this is how the problem of evil argument works. God is either evil or good. God is not good, therefore is evil. Are you going to use that same reasoning because that's the exact same form? Think about this one. Alex Malpass pointed out the circularity in this, by the way. Right? So when you say God isn't evil, you mean he's not, he's good. And then what do you mean by good? Well, not evil. In other words, you have the same circularity here.
How is this an exclusive claim?
Well, first off, right? The first formulation isn't using an exclusive or operator, right? I was very clear. I said A or B, and then the premise 2 should tell you something when it says something exists. It's an inclusive or operator.
Right, but it was something
Like,
exists
yeah,
or God exists.
Yeah. In other words, it's saying, like, okay, I could understand the complaint, right? If we're saying that premise 1 was using an exclusive or operator, I could totally understand that. But I'm not. But I wasn't. But I wasn't using it that way. I'm no. What I'm saying is at least one of these disjuncts is true. If I can negate one of these disjuncts, and the other one isn't negated, then at least one of these is true. Therefore, premise 1 is true.
So which one are you negating?
Yeah, I'm negating the fact that nothing exists, right? That's disjunct A. This is why it actually follows through on a truth table. So if you use
I mean, it may, but it wouldn't make it. It may, but it wouldn't make it an exclusive thing.
See, look, I get that, but okay, but the argument isn't an exclusive or operator.
Right. It says that's a possibility. It's a possibility.
It's an inclusive or operator, the way that I formulated it. Right. It's saying at least one of these things is true. And if any of those things are true in premise 1, then premise 1 is true.
No, I'd say that premise 1, both of them, nothing exists or God exists. Is that premise 1?
No, if you use an exclusive or operator, then you have to have both disjuncts being true. In which case, premise 1 wouldn't be true.
False. And it sounds to me like both are false because they're saying nothing exists or God exists. So we know nothing doesn't exist. So that one's out of it. We know something exists.
Listen to premise 2.
You need a powerful.
Please let me get a sentence out. Honestly, this is why you can't get anywhere with you. As soon as I say something, you just interrupt me every time. So your premise is nothing exists or God exists. We know nothing doesn't exist, so we can rule that one out. You now need to prove the God one. You can't just say nothing exists or God exists. That doesn't follow.
No, all I have to prove is something exists.
Yeah, but
we all agree that something exists. That's not even up for contention.
Right. That's
it
right.
Doesn't equal God.
Okay, so does God equal nothing?
No, it's at very least, it's a concept that exists.
That's right. That supports premise 2.
Dang, you're pretty good. That's a good one way.
Look, I'm not lying. Okay, I'm being honest with you. Like, there's 2 forms of disjunctive syllogisms, right? If you take the exclusive approach of an exclusive or operator in premise 1, then I would agree with you, right? That is viciously circular, and premise 2 doesn't even seem to follow from premise 1, right? But even if you admit that God exists as a concept, then you're conceding premise 2. Which supports.
Well, I do believe. I believe that God. I believe that God exists, but that's not supportive of it.
Well, no, it follows if you're using an inclusive or operator, right?
But that's not going to be sufficient for Paul.
Well, I don't care what's sufficient for Paul.
I thought that was the point.
It was me you were trying to convince.
No, I don't think I can convince you at all.
You use this as an example by starting this by saying I can prove it to you, and this is how you went. And then, like I said,
Yeah,
Right, I am definitely, I am 100% done
hold
this
on.
time. I'm
Hold
100%
on.
done. I don't know how you managed to
Hold
keep
on.
talking over me,
Hold-
and you're
hold-
still doing it
hold-
now. I absolutely give up. You
hold
do
on.
not hear a single word I say.
Well,
You've literally
because
no.
I need
I'm
to
done.
correct what you said.
I'm actually
I-
leaving.
I-
I'm
I-
leaving. I'm going. I cannot be done.
All right,
I don't know how you have the ability
all
to
right.
talk over somebody as much as
ahead.
what you do. See?
Go ahead.
You people are fucking morons.
Yeah, you people are fucking morons. Okay, he literally just said. You said I can convince you. Actually, I started off saying I can't convince you.
Have you ever thought for
And
a
then-
moment
and then-
to
and
include-
then I
have
said-
you ever
and then
thought
I
for a
said I
moment
could get-
to- have you
and
ever
then
thought for
I
a moment
said-
to include rationality in your argument whatsoever?
and then I-
Rationality?
and-
Is there anything rational that
yeah.
exists?
Look. Yeah, I don't think you're understanding this, right? 1 + 1 equals
No, I'm
2.
not understanding your
right?
rambling, slurring.
Regardless of my being convinced of that shit. Don't you understand this? Truth tables don't lie, you idiot.
Looking good, Andy. Looking good.
Yeah, but if none of your shit
See-
is coming
see how
across
this-
in any
see how-
communicable way, it's irrelevant, isn't it?
No, it's not irrelevant. Okay, look, I'm going through it. I can give you a mathematical proof. I just did. Now,
I don't think so.
Do you want to check a truth table on an inclusive OR operator disjunction with A or B, not B, therefore A? Do you want to go with that? Because that was my argument. And it's you know what it's going to render you? The majority true. That's what it's going to give you. We can go to truthtable.com and test this.
That doesn't help if you saw the effect that it had on Paul, right?
Yeah, look, I already acknowledged that from the beginning. He said, you said you can convince me. I said the opposite. I said,
right.
I can't convince you.
I heard that. I did, but then you said something about you wanted to try that about the truth table because you would have something objective.
Right. Yeah. And the objective fact of the matter is that if we're using an inclusive OR operator disjunction on the truth table, it always renders true. And that's the exact argument that I gave him, and he still wasn't convinced. Did you notice that?
But it establishes high probability, but not exclusiveness.
No, I agree with you there. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there.
Right, and so that's
it's a high probability.
Right, and Paul's he's looking for something more definitive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's just a dumbass. Like, does he hold to a
Cartesian
epistemology where we have to have 100% certainty?
That's not fair. There was nothing about what Paul was doing that made him dumb. He's not dumb.
Okay. Listen to me really close. Do you know the distinction between epistemological certainty and psychological certainty? Do you know the distinction there? Sure. Yeah, psychological certitude has to do with the intensity of your belief. This is something I actually mentioned during that conversation. Right? You can be convinced of something psychologically, but it doesn't align with the epistemic state of affairs. In other words,